Hey team, happy bank holiday Monday. I'm definitely not giving off those spring warm vibes today, am I? I feel like I'm actually giving off Wednesday vibes. But it is a little bit cloudy outside and I'm about to go out and I forgot to make a video. So this is why my hair is wet and yeah, it's a little bit rushed. But doesn't mean that today's session isn't good. So we're looking at light shading today. It's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and they also struggle with going dark as well. So we're going to look at that in a couple of weeks' time. But for today, you're going to see how patient and how delicate you can be. So grab your pencils and let's get started. We're going to start with the outline. So grab your 2B pencil and try to create an egg shape. Now, if you think about it, eggs do have a little bit of a point on the top. It's not huge, and the base is much rounder. So definitely try and get that shape if you can. Now I'm going to start my shading and I'm just going in the direction that my hand usually sits. You'll notice if I pause for a second how far away from the end of the pencil I am. You can even do this if you have a short pencil, but I want it to be as light as possible and as soft as possible. So I'm basically sabotaging myself so I can't press too hard, and that's what we want. Some of you might find as soon as you put the pencil down, a big line has been created, and that's not what we want today. We want to be really soft and delicate, so try and just change the position of your hand. Now next we're going to start to push the very faint shadow that's on the egg itself. So let me just draw around the shape so you can see what it looks like. I'm basically saying to myself, inside this shape is pretty much one shade, and the left side of it is another, and the right side is another, and you can just see by these quick color samples there as well. The difference is very subtle, but it's definitely there. So we want to make sure we're getting our darkest value on the egg, which is that weird shape, and we're getting the medium grey on the left and the really, really light on the right. So this whole time as well, my pencil is staying sharp, and I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible. I'm trying not to get it too grainy, so I'm using the tip, but also the edge of the pencil as well. Now, once you've placed some of your shadow on there and you've pushed a little bit of the edges darker, you see the top and the bottom is, we're going to just shade on the outside of the egg. So when I'm looking at this video, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is way too dark, but you've got to trust the process. It's basically because I've put a darker grey next to white on the edge that it feels much darker, but really it's not as dark as it seems. So once everything's on, it's going to settle down a lot more and hopefully feel less aggressive, I guess. If you can even say an egg is aggressive. I don't know, I don't think I've ever said that. I don't think one's been thrown at me. Okay, so you can see very sharp pencil, very important. Now, what you can do at this stage, when you're happy with the placement of all your shadows, use a 2H pencil just to really refine all of that shading. This goes inside all the nooks and crannies. It gets rid of all of the texture of the paper, and you'll really slowly work your way around trying to even out the tone, and this would help with leveling any shading, pushing anything that tiniest bit darker rather than going for super dark with an 8B, which we've classically been doing this year. But a 2H can just bring those subtleties together. And of course, the key to this drawing is trying to make sure your edge of shading really disappears into the white of the egg. So we don't really want to see it at all. So I hope you enjoyed this challenge this week. As I said, I do find this much more challenging than a darker shading, but it's a great exercise to practice. And if you do enjoy these videos and you find them quite helpful and you're thinking, how can I support China? She's great. Well, you can head on over to Patreon and pay as little as £3 a month to get more content, more exercises, and keep these videos going. And if you just want to watch the free shit on YouTube, then please at least press subscribe. All right, folks, I'll see you next week for another lesson.